Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a bit of a sort of guide slash tips, if you will, for battleships, okay? So we already made two videos, alright? We made two videos on aircraft carriers, okay? One for 2022 and one for 2023. Those videos did absolutely fantastic on the channel, and that's pretty nuts. But also we did do a destroyer guide as well, okay? That video has over 3,000 views. And that one also did pretty well as well. So hopefully, with this next introduction into the guide series for battleships, maybe this can help some of you guys as well. And maybe, of course, it can get recommended into the YouTube algorithm and might even do pretty well on the channel. God only knows. But nonetheless, enough of that talk out of the way about the numbers of how our videos were doing. I'm sure most of you guys don't really care about that, but I do. It really does show that you guys like those kind of videos. But nonetheless, we're going to look at battleships that I recommend, the builds that I would recommend running on such battleships, because, you know, not all battleships are the same in this game, believe it or not. There are different play styles, and there's different types of battleships in the game, and we're going to go over that, and then we're going to play one match in battleships as well, okay? So a lot of the information for battleships you can just get, like, literally at port, like, while you're at the main menu, believe it or not. So let's just say, for example, you want to, a lot of people in this game, if I had to check the demographics, there's probably a lot of American people playing this game, and a lot of people probably start with the Americans, right? Like, for example, my first battleship I ever got was the Iowa. I mean, this thing right here, fantastic ship. It's just, it kind of fell off the bandwagon, you know, because of the fact that it doesn't hold up as well anymore like it used to. I still have good games in Iowa. I've got nearly a million elite XP in this thing, but it just doesn't hold up as well anymore, but it's still a good option in 2023. I still would say it's a good ship. But if we take a look at the Iowa, right, let's just say you want to grind towards the Iowa. Well, you go over to you back out, go over to the ships tab, okay? So keep clicking B or circle, whatever your console's on. Just go to the very start of the menu here and go over to ships, okay? This is your tech tree. This is very important stuff right here. It shows you exactly how to progress in this game, okay? For any class, not just battleships, but cruisers and destroyers and carriers down here. It shows you the line. See that little line right there? That shows you the path of how you need to progress, okay? So let's just say, for example, you want the Iowa, all right? Well, you got to start with the Wyoming. Most people are going to start with the Albany. They're going to work their way to St. Louis, then Phoenix, and then you got to go down to Wyoming. Then you got to go over to New York, then you got to go through the New Mexico, then you got to go through the Colorado, then you got to go through the Iowa. See, there's a line, okay? It's called a tech line or a tech tree. And once you get to the Iowa, once you buy it, it's going to cost a lot of credits, and credits are very hard to come by these days. My best recommendation for folks, if you guys are wanting to earn lots of credits, is play to the best of your abilities in every battle. Like, literally, do your best and play premium ships. Run premium time. That's how you earn credits in this game. But that's a topic for another video. Actually, I did make a video on that not too long ago. But then, now, once you get the Iowa, right? The Iowa is best played as a sniping sort of battleship, as an accuracy build battleship, okay? That is what the Iowa is best used as, okay? It's not one of those battleships that you're going to be getting in brawls with. It's not one of those battleships that you're going to be, you know, getting into secondary brawls with. It's a long-range smackaroni ship, okay? You want to be using these large 16-inch guns to your advantage. You want to be positioning and whatnot and utilizing your firepower. So, because of that reason, here's my build, okay? So, your first option is secondary battery mod 2. No. First things first, do not run this on the Iowa. Iowa's not a secondary ship whatsoever, so forget about that. Pretend like that doesn't even exist. Now, this is an option if you are wanting to get into it. If you know you're getting into a carrier match, this is not a bad option. This increases your AA by 20%, your AA firing range. So, Iowa does have very good AA, so this is not a bad option. However, this right here is more, I think, this is the best option out of the three for the Iowa. It's main battery traverse speed, okay, plus 20%. This basically allows your guns to traverse much quicker, okay? So this is very helpful. I like running this on most of my battleships that I use for gun-wise, okay, main batteries. Now, for the second thing, you could run rudder, but rudder on a battleship, that's practically fucking useless. Pardon my language, but it really is. It's practically useless. Propulsion mod, now this is what I would recommend. I do run this to this day. Being able to go from stop to forwards in the course of like 5-10 seconds, that's huge. This basically allows you to basically reach full power when accelerating much faster. You could also, this is also a very good option as well, running damage control systems mod too. This is also a fantastic option. It's not whatsoever a bad option to pick. Most of you guys don't care about propulsion mod, maybe some of you do, but some of you may not, and this is a great option too. What this does is, if you read it right here on the left, it says fire duration minus 15% and flooding duration minus 15%. So if you're dealing with a lot of HE spammers, you could pop that on and have a little bit of an easier time against fires, okay? For the fourth modification slot, Concealment Systems Mod 1, this is what I run on all my battleships, on really all my ships really in the game. I don't run this very much anymore at all. Target acquisition mod, but this basically decreases your concealment by 10%. That's about 1 kilometer of concealment that you get basically off your ship. So you go from like 14 kilometer concealment to 13 kilometer concealment. 1 kilometer minus to your concealment is huge, okay? This also increases your incoming fire dispersion by 5% as well, so it makes incoming shells less accurate, essentially. So that's pretty helpful. You could run target acquisition mod. This increases your spotting range overall, your torpedo detectability range overall, and your RGA ships overall, but I don't really find as much value in that as this, okay? To each their own, though. And for the final modification, since we're, like I said, since we are a full-on gun build battleship, we're building into our sniping potential. We're going to be utilizing our guns. I put on main battery, or sorry, I put on artillery plotting room too. Okay, this basically allows it for our shells to be more accurate. That little dispersion ring where all your shells, you know, fly around in when they're going through the air, it is decreased by 10%. So that allows our shells to be a little bit more accurate. Okay. You could put on secondary battery mod. Once again, don't do it for an American battleship. At least for all of them except like Massachusetts. And you could also, once again, if you really want to build in the AA, which is an option on American battleships, most of them, you could do that with this modification here, AA Guns Mod 3. And you could also put on main battery Mod 3 for the extra reload. However, it decreases your turret traverse speed. So it depends on your preference. I mean, just look at this kind of stuff. You guys can play around with it. And you guys can choose your builds depending on that, okay? Now, one thing to keep in mind too, like, the Kansas is also this way. I have almost the same exact build on the Kansas. Pretty much. Almost the same build. I did take off propulsion mod, surprisingly, on my Kansas. I don't know why, but I guess I was doing something. I don't know. But most of the American battleships, okay, just to sum it all up, most of the American battleships in this game are gun-focused battleships, okay? So just keep that in mind. Now, for example, if we go over to Japan here, most of the Japanese battleships are also the same way. They are gun-focused battleships. So you want to be building them in the same way, for dispersion, for accuracy, and for hard-hitting guns. That's mainly what you want to be building the Japanese for. Alright? And the British are different. The British are HE spammers. I mean, except one. Or except a few, actually. So the only British ship you should be using HE for like 90% of your shots, maybe the only two, is both the King George and the Vanguard. The Vanguard still has those 15-inch guns, so it is pretty damn good in terms of smacking people with AP. I don't have much experience with the Vanguard personally, but this is one of those battleships that really is tough to play. It's not great. I would not recommend going down this line if it's your first time researching battleships, but to each their own. But however, the low-tier battleships, like the Orion, the Iron Duke, these two right here, they both have fantastic high explosive spamming potential, especially the Iron Duke, but you can utilize your armor piercing as well. A lot of people forget that you can use AP on battleships sometimes. People sometimes forget to switch shells. So, also the Queen Elizabeth. The Queen Elizabeth is a fantastic battleship. It is absolutely disgusting in terms of armor piercing potential. It is the first British warship in the tech tree to get access to those very, very punchy 15-inch guns. So, once again, really though, despite what shell you're using, all of these battleships down here for Britain, for the Great Britain, are gun-focused battleships, okay? They also have improved heals as well. For the Germans, now the Germans, you can build them for guns, however, I find the Germans are more accurate in the secondary department. They have a lot of secondaries, and you're going to have a lot more fun and a lot more meme potential building for guns. These are brawlers, these are tankers. They are meant to get balls deep in there. And that's exactly what the Germans, like the Bismarck, are good at. They're good at brawling. They lack a bit of accuracy. They can be accurate if you build for it, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend building these as brawling battleships, okay? Even the other battleships, the battle cruisers, okay? These are also brawling sort of centered battleships for secondaries and whatnot, okay? They're better in the medium to short ranges, essentially. And for the French battleships are main battery focused battleships, okay? You want to be using these battleships for guns. That is mainly what the French battleships are good at. They have very high velocity shells, and they frickin' hit very hard. They got a lot of penetration on their shells. So these guys mainly are gun-focused battleships, okay? You want to be building them like the Japanese, like the British, like the Americans. You want to be building them like that. The USSR. Now, the USSR, they are more also gun-centered battleships. However, they can also tank a lot of damage as well. I mean, let's just take a look at the Vladivostok, for example. This thing has an absolute just... It looks very big, doesn't it? But you look at the armor, okay? Go to the armor viewer. It has a lot of freaking armor. You know, that's one thing to talk about, too. Armor on battleships is something that is something that you need to keep an eye on as well. Most battleships at Tier 7 have a 32mm bow and stern, so this allows you to tank shells up to 16 inches, okay? So knowing what, you know, memorizing all of the calibers of guns. 406mm guns are 16-inch guns, okay? Sinop also has 406mm guns, okay? You guys can also go over to the armor viewer and take a look at the armor. She has 25mm. So just looking at all these ships and getting an idea of how they are. If you take away all of these and leave the last one, you know, this thing right here, the last armor viewer up, you can see the citadel of every ship as well. The citadel is absolutely huge on the Russians. They've got a lot of frontal armor, right? But when they're broadside like this, they get absolutely touched, see? So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, just looking at everything also does help. Obviously, you got the Italian battleships. These guys are... You guys can build them for secondaries, or you can build them for guns, or you can build them for both. But I find the Italians are best suited at ranges between medium and close range. They're kind of like the Germans in that regard. They're pretty good brawlers. But other than that, I don't play much of the Italian battleships. They're just not my playstyle. But I find, in my experience, these guys are good around the brawling sort of category. And that's it. I mean, that's all the battleships in this game. But anyway, enough jibber-jabbering about the tech trees. That's all the tech trees out of the way. We are going to have this video in different chapters, okay? So keep that in mind. This video will be in different chapters, so you guys can pop around if you guys would like to, and come back and watch whatever, all right? This video is not going anywhere. Anyway, next thing we need to take a look at is just the commanders, and what commanders you guys can be using on battleships. So like, for example, my American battleships, the one we were looking at earlier, the Iowa. The Iowa, I mainly run a dispersion build on, okay? So we just take away the guys. That's the guys is a little bit confusing for you guys. We'll take that away. But we have William Sims here. And William Sims is a good gun-focused battleship commander. He's very good for improving your accuracy and improving your overall gun performance. Obviously right here, Flammable Cannoneer is a great perk to put on. This increases my main battery range. This increases my shell grouping. However, it increases my chance of getting set on fire. So you are getting a little bit of a trade-off there. It's a double-edged sword, if you will. Gyrating drill bits is the same way. It increases your gun traverse speed, and it increases your main battery, your AP main battery shell damage by 10%, which is pretty damn significant, but it decreases your battleship speed by 10%. Okay? Same thing with marksmanship. You got main battery dispersion minus 10%, so it makes the shells more accurate, but it increases your rudder shift time, so you have a little bit less maneuverability. And of course, reaching out XXL, this actually doesn't give you a negative, it just increases your main battery range up to 4%, okay? So if you take a look too, right under the main battery range, you can see every level, so Legendary 1, Legendary 2, Legendary 3, and Legendary 4. There's 4 levels to each commander in this game. Okay, so there's Legendary 1, and when you're Legendary 1, you get a +1 to your extra range, okay, on your main battery range. If you're Legendary 2, if your commander is Legendary 2, you get a +2%. If your commander is Legendary 3, you get a +3%. And if your commander is Legendary 4, you guys can see where this is going, okay? Each one of these perks has that. So for example, if your commander is Legendary 1, for this perk here, you get a -3, Legendary 2, -5, Legendary 3, -7, and Legendary 4, -10. So getting your commanders leveled up, guys, is almost more important than anything else for any ship in this game. getting those commanders leveled up is extremely, extremely important, okay? Now, if you guys want to go take a look at the commanders for this game, you guys can go to the store, head on over to the commanders tab, and you guys can see all of the commanders for each nation. Here's the United States commanders. William Sims, the one I have right here. You guys can get him out of commander crates, or you can get him just right out of the freaking shop here for 900,000 commander XP. But every single week, you guys can log on and get a free commander crate if you just do some challenges, okay? And you get a random commander out of those crates. And if you already get that commander, you won't get it again, essentially, okay? Unless you have all the commanders in the game like I do, and you'll just start getting duplicates of everything. Same thing for the Japanese. The Japanese, your best bet is Thankyou Takagi. He's a very good accuracy-focused commander, okay? If you guys are wanting a brawling commander for your Japanese, Nubataki Kondo is your best bet. Same thing for the United States. Your best bet for brawling, for your brawling commanders for the Americans, is Willis Lee. For the United Kingdom, your best bet for accuracy / gun focus builds for battleships is Andrew Cunningham. He's a fantastic commander. Or you can get Charles Madden here. Charles Madden he would be a brawling centered battleship commander. Okay, same thing for the Germans. Otto Ciliax. This guy is a brawling centered commander. He's good for your secondary builds. He's good for your brawling sort of builds, your tanky builds. And if you want to go full gun mode build, you can get Franz von Hipper, okay? He's a good gun-focused commander. He increases your accuracy and all that stuff. Same thing with France. You got some commanders in here for battleships. Robert Jajard. He's good for the accuracy builds and whatnot. And then you got, I think it's Emil Gaprat, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look. I actually don't remember. It is Emil Gaprat. So Emil Gaprat, this guy right here, Emile Gaprat is better for your brawling French battleships or your tanky build French battleships, okay? For the USSR, Mikhail Kedrov is your best commander for the tanky sort of builds, okay? For your Russians. A lot of people do run tank builds because Russians have very good armor. Or you can go on over to Lev Galler. Lev Galler, right here, he's kind of right next to him. I didn't even see him. But Lev Galler is more of your accuracy build sort of commander for your Russians, okay? He's better for your gun focused builds, essentially, okay? And finally, for the Italians, Angelo Iacchino is better for your accuracy builds, okay? So if you guys are wanting to go full accuracy builds and whatnot, and full-on gun builds for your battleships for your Italians, Angelo Iacchino is your best bet. And if you're wanting to go, once again, if you're wanting to go with a full-on freaking tanky sort of build for secondaries too as well, Paolo de Revel is your best bet, okay? So that's all the commanders, ladies and gentlemen. There's different commanders for different needs, essentially, all right? So just keep that in mind. But anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, the last thing we're going to look at, we just took a look at the tech trees and all the battleships and what those battleships are potentially good at. Now, we took a look at the commanders, and now we're going to be taking a look at the armor viewer. This is your best thing to look at, okay, right here. Every single ship in the game has an armor viewer. All you got to do to access that armor viewer, okay? So while you're hovering over a ship, let's just say, for example, you guys are starting out the game, and you got the frickin' Tier 3 battleship Wyoming, okay? You just got the Wyoming. You're just starting out the game, and all you got to do, okay, if you want to take a look at your armor, is click X, or I believe it is, it might be square on PlayStation. Click square or X, then click A, or, I don't know what A is on PlayStation. I have no idea all the buttons, but click A to select it, and you open this little menu here. And you guys can go to your loadout. See? You guys can see your loadout. And in this area, in your loadout, you can put on flags that help your economy, help your battle boosters here. You can put on camouflages, which actually do have an effect in battle. They decrease your sea detectability range, or like this one, for example, decreases both your sea detectability range and your incoming fire dispersion. On my Wyoming, I have the red, white, and blue camouflage, okay? I did make it permanent. So there you go. You can take a look at the specs, so you can get an idea of what your battleship is basically doing in terms of HP and artillery and AA defense, maneuverability, and concealment. You guys can look at all this stuff in here. It shows you exactly how big your guns are, all right? And whatnot. You can look at your statistics and see how you're doing in battles. See? And finally, the most important part is the armor viewer. Take a look at the blue part here. 19 millimeters of armor on the bow and basically everywhere. This thing does not have very good armor. All right, most shells will go through 19 millimeters, except like some cruiser shells or destroyer shells. Like 6-inch guns, I think, will ricochet right off that, unless they load high explosive. So high explosive will absolutely rip apart this battleship because it just doesn't have a lot of armor. Okay. However, if you take a look, there is one spot where there is quite a bit of armor right here, right in the center. There's that little bit of plating by the auxiliary room, 165 millimeters. So if you angle the belt like this, for example, and you get people to shoot that belt from this portion here, see this little torpedo bulge that I'm taking away? See right behind that, there's a lot of armor right there. And if you guys actually angle like this and get people to shoot your broadside while you're angled like this, you could potentially ricochet a lot of shells. You guys can see where the armor is just bulging out. You guys see? So getting an idea, guys, getting an idea of how your ship actually is and whatnot, and how its armor is, basically, every ship has different armor in this game, will drastically help your battle, okay? And every single ship in the game has this. Like, every single ship in the game has it. Let's just say you want to take a look at your Nevada. You want to take a look at the armor viewer for that. Same thing. You guys can take a look at the armor. You can take away things. You can add things. You can do whatever you want. You can take a look at the armor of your ship. It's so helpful, all right? So, anyway, that's out of the way. I think we covered most of the stuff at port. This is going to be a long video, but I want to cover everything, guys. I don't want to leave a stone unturned. I want to cover everything. I want you guys to potentially learn as much as you guys possibly can and become a decent player at the game. That is important to me, getting you guys to learn things and overall learn the game. But nonetheless, we're going to head into a battle, and we're just going to play. And I'm going to show you guys what I do in my ships, okay? So we're actually not going to play the Iowa. We are going to play the Alabama. I think this ship is honestly better than the Iowa currently. I quite like the Alabama. If we take a look at the armor viewer, this thing has 32 millimeters of bow, stern, and just armor everywhere. This thing has very good armor. And this armor right here, 32 millimeters of armor is enough to tank 16-inch rounds or smaller, okay? Anything bigger than 16-inch rounds will go straight through this bow. Most battleships at tier 7 have 16-inch guns or smaller, okay? So we just gotta basically keep our bow onto people and not get hit. However, we could get hit in our superstructure and stuff, but we will talk more about that in the gameplay portion. So now we're actually just gonna play a battle, and I'm gonna show you guys what I do, and maybe, you know, God only knows what happens. I mean, this is all gonna be sort of live comms deal, if you will. It's all gonna be done in a live setting. So keep that in mind. Whatever happens, whatever happens. And I'm going to show you guys what I do, and I'm going to break things down a little bit for you guys. It might help. So we're loading into a battle. We're playing standard battles. Standard battles is PvP, okay? It's players versus players. You guys also could play AI, or you guys could play training rooms on your own to learn a little bit and to get your feet wet, if you will. But your first thing you want to be doing is taking a look where you spawn, right? We're spawning in the middle. And the most important thing out of everything to look at in this game when you're in a match is the freaking minimap. Looking at your minimap is, I can't emphasize how much that is important to all things considering World of Warships Legends. You need to be looking at your minimap all the time. Having situational awareness and whatnot is so important. So pay attention to your minimap. Get an idea of where people are. Next thing, if you click the left start button on your controller or whatever it is, I think it's your touchpad on your PlayStation controllers, you guys can take a look at this menu here. It shows the enemy ships. So the enemy has a Jervis, they got a Benson, they got a Fletcher, they got an Aylesbury, they got a Chappie, they got a Susie, they got a Duke of York, a Zeton, and a Pobeda. This is a carrier game, so we got to be ready for that. Now, we are in the middle spawn, and my best recommendation to you guys, if you guys spawn on a side, you guys should play it. Okay, if you guys spawn on the right, you guys should play the right side. If you guys spawn on the left, you guys should play the left side. Don't be like this Prince Heinrich here. Do not be like this Prince Heinrich. Do not abandon your flank. It's not good overall for the longevity of a match. It's not good, man. It's not a good look, and all it does is it gives the enemy team on that side of the map a free freaking flank, okay? So you gotta play the side you spawn on. We spawn mid. So what we're gonna do is we are going to move up. We're going to get up to this island, use island cover. Positioning is key in battleships. And we're going to get shots on people. So right off the bat, we see an enemy Suzuya. Okay, we got armor piercing loaded. We're going to take a shot at him. We got our spotter as well. Popping that spotter also increases our dispersion and whatnot. So that's very important. And we get a hit on him, but unfortunately, since he turned away and dodged, we didn't get any sort of decent results there. So, there you go. Now, the carrier is currently coming in to attack us. The fun police is here. So, really not a whole lot we can do about this. We could turn in to dodge him, but as you guys can see, he's not very good at aiming. So, there you go. Now, if you guys are wondering how I'm doing this little overview camera, it's a thing with preset 5. Hold LB or hold left bumper, and you guys can zoom out like this. It does help out. It locks your turrets so they don't turn on their own, and it overall helps out, okay? Now, right off the bat, our destroyer's dead, so there you go. But he did get a couple torpedo hits. Now, we're going to poke our nose right around here and see if we can't just smack this Zeton back to the Shadow Realm here. And just like that, we got a Citadel for 24,000 damage. We aimed waterline, guys. Don't aim high like this. Aim waterline like this. Unless he angles in. He's angling in right now, see? So what we're going to do, if we aim belt right now, all of our shells are just going to ricochet right there. So what we're going to do, we're going to aim up high so we can get superstructure damage into a Star Destroyer superstructure. And we're going to see if we can't absolutely obliterate him. However, we know we overmatch him, okay? He's got horrible bow armor, so it doesn't matter if we aim high or not. Okay, knowing what your enemy is in terms of armor is super helpful. Now, we are getting currently burnt down right now by the Suzuya, so we're going to try to back up and get behind this island, because I'm not about this life. I don't want to keep getting set on fire if I can help it. So we're going to try to back up around this small frickin' island and see if we can't limit the amount of people shooting us. We are unspotted, so that is something to keep in mind. We're going to take a shot at him. We're going to take a shot at him because I'm getting tired of getting absolutely burnt down, and he is actually stopping, which is not a good idea. And we should be able to, yeah, we get some pretty decent results there. We hit him for about, for 3 overpens, we get a penetration, so he's lucky that he didn't get Citadel back to the Shadow Realm there, but it is what it is. Now, notice that there's nobody here. Like, there's nobody on this side of the map. I'm not spotted. There's no destroyer here, at least that I'm aware of. So we're actually going to come around. We're going to push into the capture zone and start flipping the cap. Okay, getting those capture zones is what wins games, guys. Paying attention to your minimap, too. If you guys look at the minimap, you guys can see that there were 2 destroyers last spotted over at Alpha. Okay? So, paying attention to your minimap is super, super important. I'm also looking at my minimap right now. I know there's a squadron of bombers behind me. You know, I don't even need to look that way, but I can. But if you just look at the minimap, you guys can get so much information at your hands, at your disposal, okay? So, I can't emphasize that enough. Using minimaps and using overall island cover and using your positioning to your advantage is ultimately what is going to help you in a battleship. Just charging in at the beginning of a game, that guy just got dev struck, by the way. It's about time that frickin' HE spamming Suzuya gets sent back to port there. But anyway, as I was saying, if you guys actually, you know, look at your minimap and actually put the time into position instead of just YOLOing in at the beginning of a game and dying, you will, you know, help your team a lot more in that way, okay? Living longer and actually, you know, staying alive is way more important than just charging in and dying, you know what I mean? So, just a bit of advice there. That's all this video is. It's advice. It's a tips and guides sort of video. It's here to help you guys if you guys are struggling with battleships, okay? But anyway, we took a shot at that Algerie, and we do not get a whole bunch of damage there, unfortunately. He's left on basically nothing. We are flipping the cap right now, and we're not going to push out yet, because I still don't know where these destroyers are. I'm really skeptical. One thing, too, is we have the points lead, so we don't need to be overly aggressive. Keep an eye on your points, guys. Top there. We're at 506 points. We just lost a few because we lost a ship. And the enemy team is at around 300 points. So, currently, right now, we are doing better in the points sort of game right now, okay? We have more points. We have more caps. So we really don't need to be overly aggressive in this battle, okay? we don't need to make any stupid, hot-headed decisions is what I'm saying. So we're just going to chill out for a minute. We're going to just be patient, and we're going to back up, and we're just not going to be overly aggressive, okay, unless we absolutely need to. I do not know where these enemy destroyers are. Our carrier right now should be spotting those destroyers for our team, but unfortunately, he is not doing that currently. So we're just going to have to be a little patient and just wait, okay? Now, the other side of the map, they are doing pretty decent right now. I mean, the Heinrich is getting absolutely destroyed, but he has his Kutuzov and he has his Z-23 for support, so he should be fine. In theory, I hope. But anyway, so far, I still don't know where anything is. Our carrier should be spotting those destroyers, and he's just not doing that. So, ultimately, we're just kind of left out in the dark here. There's not a whole lot we can do. So one thing to keep in mind too, notice that I am currently turning away from this side of the map, and that's because there are destroyers out here. Look at the minimap, guys, and you guys can quickly see that there are destroyers out here, and I'm not about that life. So we're turning away, and we're not gonna frickin' get, we're not gonna deal with that crap. We don't want to get torpedoed. So instead, we are going to shoot at this King George V, aka Duke of York out here. And we are going to see what we can do with these big 16-inch guns. And just like that, we get 16,000 damage off the Duke of York, which is pretty damn decent results right there. And currently the Duke of York is just absolutely destroying our side of the map right here. He killed our battleship and he killed our freaking destroyer. So right now, the team is currently throwing the game. I mean, they are throwing this game right now. The enemy carrier, or our friendly carrier, is not even putting in the effort to spot the enemy destroyers, let alone get his skip bombers out there to bomb them. So shame on you, carrier, for not playing well. Shame on you. You should have watched my carrier guide video. But it is what it is. But yeah, guys, just you need to learn how to ultimately play this game to the best of your abilities and really, win your games. You need to be doing what is required to win, right? You should not be playing selfishly. You guys should not be charging in at the beginning of games and throwing your ships away. That's not how this game is meant to be played. You'd be surprised that you guys can have so much more fun by actually playing the game like it's supposed to be played. And I really do recommend that you guys put in the effort to learn, because it can be so much more fun if you do. But anyway, we got a Benson out here that is spotted, but unfortunately he is unspotted because the carrier is failing to do his job by just hovering his planes around that destroyer. But the Azuma actually manages to finish him off there. So there you go. And notice that something is in Bravo. It is definitely one of those destroyers. It is probably either the Jervis or the Fletcher. So there you go. Now we are getting dumped on by the carrier. Not a whole lot we can do about it because, well, carriers, there's nothing you can do about carriers except hope and dream that you don't get absolutely destroyed. But yeah, I mean, so far this team is throwing this game. I mean, for the most part, they're throwing this. We were at a very, very high advantage, and now we're actually starting to lose this game because we have lost both of the caps. And overall, if the team is not careful here, we could lose this freaking game. Like, so I don't know what they're doing right now. Our rudder is currently knocked out. That's why I'm stuck in the turn. It's about to be repaired. Just like that. But what we're trying to do here is head out here and spot this freaking carrier. The carrier is to the south. If you guys look at the minimap, I can't say that enough, but if you guys actually look at the minimap, his planes keep coming from this area down here, okay? So what we're doing is we are heading in that general direction, okay? So he's probably down here by the border, essentially. Yeah, it really does suck not being able to see anything. It really does suck. Our carrier just seems to not want to spot anything right now. So it's just one of those things, I guess. But all we're trying to do here is just shoot at anything. I mean, something's also in Charlie as well. There is, I think it's the King George V Or the Duke of York that is in Charlie. Now, finally, the carrier decides to spot the fucking destroyer. So we're going to be able to take a shot at him. Just like that with the AP. And we get some pretty damn decent results there. We get 5 hits there out of the 9 shells fired. And he's not having fun whatsoever. And once again, the Duke of York kills our cruiser, and he goes down. And now the enemy team actually is leading this game on points. They're actually winning the game now because of our carrier's incompetence. So there's really not much you can do about it. If the teammates aren't going to play well, you're going to lose games. It's that simple. But all we're trying to do here is just our best. I mean, we got this Duke of York here. We hit him for 20,000 through the bow, just like that. And we are getting now focused by everything on the enemy team. We're getting shot at by the carrier. We're getting shot at by the Duke of York. We're getting shot at by the destroyer. We're probably getting torpedoed by the destroyer as well. Now, finally, the carrier, our Pobeda, actually kills something. Holy shit. The carrier actually woke the fuck up, but it's a little too late for that because currently we're losing hard as hell on points right now. This is a very close game. This is a very, very close game. This could literally come down to who kills who at this point. We're going to take a shot with our back guns, finish this destroyer off just like that.
We've sunk an enemy destroyer.
And we are going to continue to dodge these torpedoes like an absolute god. And continue to shoot down all of these carriers' planes because American AA is the best AA. We all know this. And now, Duke of York, you can't angle to me. I've got the overmatch. You've only got 25 millimeters of bow armor. So, good luck, dude, and may the force be with you. But we right now are carrying this game pretty hard. But sometimes it's all you need. And our back gun just completely goes around them. That's hilarious. But I mean, yeah. The only reason why I haven't died is because I actually know what I'm doing. And that right there, I can't emphasize that enough. If you guys actually put in the time to learn the game, learn what shells you need to be using, learn the armor of ships, positioning, all of that will drastically help your gameplay. And we're going to win because of it. Because we're not idiots ourselves, we were actually able to kill things and capitalize on the enemy's mistakes. And that right there, ultimately, is what is going to win us this game. And also the fact that the carrier and the Azuma also woke up as well. They both, at least the Azuma does have 3 kills, so he has done pretty damn awesome up to this point. And of course the carrier finally killed something. He killed the Fletcher. So there you go. I mean, like I said, just putting in the time to actually win games, learning things, learning how things work, that is ultimately what will help you win everything in the end, okay? And to just become a better player overall. Now, we did take a shot at that Pobeda. We get some decent damage there. Not a whole lot, though. He was angled a little bit. And he only has 1 bomber to launch. It's pretty funny. And, of course, that 1 bomb that hits us sets a fire, which is hilarious. RNG is flowing right now. You know, that's one thing to keep in mind, too, that this game does have a lot of RNG in it. So not, you know, the game won't always work out for you. Like, you're going to die here and there. And sometimes you're going to get screwed over by RNG. That's just how the game is. It's how it's always been. Maybe now more than ever. But we're actually going to win this game, but barely. We almost lost this game. It almost became a game of throws, which is hilarious. The team was really trying hard at the end there to throw the game. But ultimately, me and the Azuma were carrying that game like absolute gods. Shout out to you, Azuma, if you're watching this, and if you watch the channel. Shout out to you, good sir. Kuma6337. I wish I could message him or compliment him. He played fantastic in that game. And he earned 3k base XP just like I did. But yeah, I mean, there you go. Literally. We played 1 battle. We did 112,000 damage. We got a Dreadnought, a Fireproof, a Clear Sky, a High Caliber, 27 planes shot down, 3 kills. Top of the leaderboard with 3.2k base XP. There you go. See, that is what happens when you put in the time and effort to actually learn the game, learn how things work. Someone like me, for example, who's been playing the game for 4 years, I put in the time to learn it, and a lot of the time that pays off more often than not. Putting in the time to learn the game, putting in the time to learn how to play ships like battleships, like cruisers, like destroyers, like carriers, putting in the time to learn and learn how things work is ultimately what is going to make or break you in your World of Warships Legends career or during your time playing the game. But nonetheless, everybody, that right there is going to go ahead and conclude this video. I hope you all maybe did learn a little something from this. Leave a comment down below if you guys need any help. I do try to answer everybody. I do seriously greatly appreciate every single one of you guys for stopping into today's video and watching and all that. I hope, like I said, I really do hope that a lot of you guys do find some sort of tips and tricks that you can actually apply to your gameplay in this video. I hope you all learned something from this. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to go ahead and sign off here. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your weeks and weekends, and I will catch you all on the next one. Peace out, stay healthy, as always.